Are you thinking about buying or selling a home? Before you do anything, let's take a moment to address the elephant in the room. Is the housing market about to crash? I mean, it's a $1,000,000 question, quite literally, but don't panic just yet. We're here to help you make sense of all of the rumors and speculations out there. In fact, we'll break it down in a way that's not only informative, but also hopefully a little bit entertaining. I'll even throw in a joke for good measure. Why did the real estate agent cross the road? To get to the other house. Okay, I know that was cheesy, but trust me, we're going to have some real talk about the housing market and you don't want to miss it. So buckle up, grab some popcorn and let's dive in. Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about something very exciting, the housing market. I mean, who doesn't love talking about real estate, am I right? So let's get down to business. The housing market has been a hot topic lately, with prices going up faster than a rocket ship and banks free-falling faster than the gravity pull. It's like every time you turn around, there's a new record-breaking sale that makes you go, what in the world? But with all of this upward momentum, there are definitely some concerns that the market might be headed for a downturn. Now, I'm not saying that the housing market is like a roller coaster, but it does have its ups and downs. And let's be real, nobody likes a crash. Well, except maybe a crash pad and some really dark-minded people, but that's a whole different story. So let's dig into the story of the housing market and see how we got here. But first, I have another joke for you, so let's see if you will get it. Why did the real estate agent refuse to show the oceanfront property to the ghost? Because it had a goal view. Alright, back to business. What were we talking about? The housing market. It's like a roller coaster ride that never ends. And just like a roller coaster, there are ups and downs. But let's take a moment to appreciate where we come from. Remember the financial crisis of 2008? That was a wild time. Banks were falling left and right and people were losing their homes left and right. It was a dark time for the housing market. But then the Federal Reserve stepped in and did something that changed the game. They lowered interest rates to near zero, which stimulated the economy and created a surge in demand for homes. Suddenly, people were feeling confident enough to start investing in properties again, and that's when things started to climb. Fast forward to the pandemic, and the housing market was hit with yet another surprise. With people spending more time at home, the demand for larger houses with outdoor spaces skyrocketed. It's like everyone suddenly realized that they need more room to breathe. And let's not forget about those low interest rates, which remained unchanged. So what did all of this lead to? A housing market boom, that's what. Prices soared and people were scrambling to get their hands on any property they could find. It was like a gold rush, but instead of gold, it was houses, and it was like Christmas came early for realtors and all those involved in the housing market. But as they say, all good things must come to an end, and the housing market is no exception. In fact, some experts are predicting that we're in for a bumpy ride in the near future. First, interest rates are starting to rise. This means that mortgages will become more expensive, as if people weren't already struggling to pay up their mortgages as is. With this increase in rates, which could increase even further, it could put a damper on demand. Secondly, there's the issue of affordability. Houses have become so expensive that many people simply can't afford them anymore. And finally, there's the matter of supply. There just aren't enough houses to meet the demand, which can lead to several issues, including increased competition for affordable housing, a further rise in the price, and eventually homelessness. This just shows how the happening of the housing market can influence the broader community, as it could cause a ripple effect that can lead to increasing economic inequality. So what does all of this mean for the average person looking to buy or sell a house? Well, it means that they will need to be cautious. Prices might be high right now, but they could drop just as quickly. It's important to do your research and make sure you're getting a good deal. And as promised, here's another joke to lighten the mood. Why did the banker quit his job? He lost interest. You've got to admit that was better than the last one, right? Okay, I'll see myself out. In all seriousness, the housing market is a complex and ever-changing beast. It's important to stay informed and be prepared for whatever comes next. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, there's always risk involved. But if you do your homework and stay on top of things, you'll be in a much better position to weather any storm that comes your way. Secondly, don't even get me started on the rising home prices. It seems like every time I check the real estate listings, the prices have gone up even more. It's like trying to catch a slippery eel. Just when you think you got a grasp on it, it slips right through your fingers or gives you the shock of your life. Fun aside, the rising home prices are a real problem for many people. It's not just about the cost of the home itself, but also the associated expenses like property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. And let's not forget about the down payment. It can be a real challenge to come up with the money for that, especially if you're already living paycheck to paycheck, which most of people looking for stable housing are. I mean, sure, we all want a nice place to live in, but at what cost? Some people are willing to stretch themselves thin just to get into a home, but for others it's simply not feasible. And if enough people are priced out of the market, it could lead to a decrease in demand. Of course, there are other factors at play here too. Interest rates, for example, can have a big impact on whether people are able to afford a home. If rates go up, that can make it more expensive to take out a mortgage, which in turn can put a damper on the housing market. How about another joke? Jokes I promised, so jokes you shall get. You know, I heard a great one the other day about the housing market. Okay, here it goes. Why did the real estate agent bring a flashlight to the open house? Because the prices were so high, he wanted to shed some light on the subject. Okay, maybe it's not the funniest joke in the world, but I did get a chuckle out of it. And honestly, sometimes you just have to laugh to keep from crying when it comes to the housing market. All jokes aside, the fact is that rising home prices are a real concern for many people. It's not just about the financial strain, there are also social and economic consequences to consider. If people can't afford to buy homes, that could lead to a rise in homelessness or a decrease in economic activity if people are unable to relocate for jobs. So what can we do about it? Well, that's a tough question with no easy answers. Some people advocate for government intervention, like implementing rent control or providing subsidies for affordable housing. Others believe that the market should be left to regulate itself, with developers building more affordable housing to meet demand. Whether the solution, one thing is clear. We need to start thinking creatively about how to make housing more accessible for everyone. Because if we don't, the consequences could be dire, and we'll all be left with nothing to do but make bad jokes to lighten the mood. Thirdly, one of the biggest concerns in the housing market is the limited supply of homes. It seems like everyone and their mother is looking for a house these days. And with interest rates at historic lows, the demand for homes is through the roof. But here's the thing. When supply is low and demand is high, prices tend to skyrocket. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the housing market. Home prices have been on the rise for the past few years, making it more and more difficult for first-time buyers to enter the market. But there's another side to this coin. As pointed out, an oversupply of homes in the market could lead to a price crash. This might seem like good news for buyers, but it could actually be bad for the economy as a whole. Think about it. If home prices plummet, homeowners might find themselves underwater on their mortgages, and that could lead to a wave of foreclosures, which we all know is never a good thing. On a lighter note, did you hear about the new housing development that's being built on a trampoline? Yeah, the prices are going through the roof. I couldn't resist throwing in a joke there. All jokes aside, the housing market is a complex beast that's influenced by a variety of factors. From interest rates to supply and demand, there's a lot of moving parts to consider. So if you're in the market for a new home, make sure to do your research and work with a reputable real estate agent who can guide you through the process. If you're planning on buying or selling a home, it's important to be aware of the risks. Keep an eye on the market and be prepared to adjust your plans if necessary. In conclusion, the housing market has been on an upward trend for several years, but there are signs that it might be heading for a crash. Rising prices, interest rates, and limited supply are all factors that could contribute to a potential market crash. So before you make any decisions, it's important to do your research and understand the risks involved. Are you planning to buy or sell a house during these days? Let me know in the comments what do you think of all of this. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for the future videos.